Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
All three women are through to the semifinals of the women's 100 meters, with Shelley and Fraser Price's heat being so strong, it could very well be the final. Elsewhere, two of the three Jamaicans are through to the finals of the women's triple jump, while the mixed 4x400 meters relay team shocked everybody, running a national record to get a lane in the final. Yes, you guessed it, it's all about the Olympics on today's edition of Lead Story here on CVM TV. Let's start the show. Welcome to Lead Story on this Friday. So good to have you. You join on a day when Jamaicans would have been pleased with what they saw at the Paris Olympics, now that the track and field program is fully underway. Many people say the Olympics start today. Not being disrespectful to the athletes in the other events who have competed and worn the national colors so far, but knowing that our best medal prospects lay here in track and field. And with the track and field program underway, Jamaicans now start to dream. They start to quarrel. They start to hope. They're counting medals already, and even the most casual observer of sport will now be clued in to the Olympics, given the prospects on offer. As I told you at the top of the show, the women's 100 meters, all three women are through to the semifinals. Shashalee Forbes, Shelley and Fraser Price, and Tia Clayton are all through. Shakira Richardson is through, so too is Julian Alfred. And the fact is that on paper, we're talking about a crack field of women going into the three semifinals, looking for spots in that final eight. And all of this with, of course, Shericka Jackson missing with an injury. But I'm telling you, her absence does not remove the fact that we have a bumper field of some outstanding women, some real fast women going to the post in the semifinals, including the greatest 100-meter sprinter of all time, Shelley and Fraser Price, who's been drawn in that semifinal one. In terms of the triple jump, as I noted, two of the three women are through to the final. We had competition in the 800 meters as well, where Adele Tracy, she finished 8th in her semifinal, in her first round heat. She has the repechage on Saturday morning, which is another chance to meet the qualification standard for the semifinal. No such difficulties for Natoya Gould, though, who was safely through to the semifinal after winning her opening heat and looking as if she can go faster than the time she produced. So I'm going to talk about all of those happenings plus other events on the Friday with Shaquille Benty. He's a sports journalist, and Lyle Anthony Golding, also a sports journalist. So we're speaking to two sports journalists of a different generation to mine. They bring a fresh perspective and they can inform the conversation going forward. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Benty, this is we were in another place together, and I'm very good to see your progress here. Very good that you can join me in this space, my friend. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, it's very good to see you, John.
Yes, I was waiting on your acknowledgement. For a moment, I thought the feed froze. Anyway, Lyle, let me go with you. What impressed you most on this Friday for Jamaica as the athletics program got into full swing over there in Paris?
I hate to be the basic guy, but I think that the most impressive performance throughout the entire day of track and field was the GOAT of sprinting, in my opinion, Shelley and Fraser Price. I think that the way that she carried herself in that heat that she ran with Marie-Josée Talou was spectacular, and the time that she ran, 10:92, in the manner that she ran it, was just incredible stuff for me. I think that she was definitely the most impressive out of the entire field of women in the 100 meters, and for me it was definitely her. But a special shout out especially to Rajendra Campbell in the men's shot put, who did make it through into the final. I was really impressed with that as well.
Yeah, Campbell's 21.05 on his first throw. He was, after the first set of throws from every athlete in his qualification group, he was, fourth? But then after that, it didn't quite go right for him. But given the struggles that he encountered to get to Paris, only the most hard-hearted individual would not doff their cap to Rajendra Campbell for the showing that he put on. And I'm happy that you mentioned him, Lyle, because he really deserves props for his Paris heroics.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really positive to see because, as you said, going in, he had his struggles, and I was keeping an eye on him in particular because wasn't too sure of our medal prospects in that event, but given the way that he performed, especially on that first story, I think it would give him confidence going into the final that potentially he could maybe break into the medals. But I think it will be a tough task. But we'll see how he does. Happy for him, though.
Yes, indeed. Shaquille, the Lyle's highlight was Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce's smooth run, ultra professional, reminiscent of a woman who's been here more times than all others, has done everything 10 times over, ultra comfortable, and showing that she is the queen of this business, easing through in second, looking as if she has a lot more in the tank. Was that your highlight of the day as well?
That wasn't my highlight of the day, but I can definitely say that Rajendra Campbell was my highlight, because the night before I was having discussions with people and just having him go out and compete. You mentioned the challenges that he had before. That definitely was my highlight, to see him make the final, because we hadn't done that in so long. But Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, class act. I mean, the legend rocket, as I would call her now, really looks smooth in a race, and I know she's leaving Paris with something.
Yeah, and a little more on Rajendra. The fact is that he worked at a hospital, then he worked at Domino's to try to fund his own trip to Paris because he lacked the support that many others take for granted. And it's really a story by itself. And I'm looking at sports journalists like yourselves who are looking to make your name. This is a documentary, gentlemen, that's begging to be made. Yeah, how he got to Paris, the things he had to go through, the hurdles he had to surmount, and how a man driven by ambition and a dream was able to take the stage at the very highest level and not disgrace himself and his country.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's kind of the story that as a journalist you dream about. And I mean, even some filmmakers might dream about that type of story, because it's really, really inspiring, the things that he did and the drive that he showed, the determination that he showed to ensure that his dream would not go unaccomplished. And the fact that he got there, I know that's one step of his dream, but I think for sure for him, I would say that the task isn't finished. He would believe that as well. And hopefully, like I said, fingers crossed for him in the final. But yeah, it's a fantastic story.
Yeah, Benty, the other women in the 100 meters, let's start with Tia Clayton, had some strapping on her right leg and didn't look all that smooth, but the mission was not to look smooth. The mission was to qualify for the semifinals, and that she did. Your impression of how she went about her work today in Paris?
You spoke about it, George. The name of the game is survive and advance, and that's just what Tia Clayton did. It's her first Olympics. We have to give her a bit of grace. She followed the tactics of her coach. She mentioned that she didn't quite love her start, and that's good from a young athlete to notice the moments in which she can improve upon, and I definitely think Tia Clayton can improve upon it. I'm glad to see that the taping behind her knee didn't hinder her too much, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do in that semi-final tomorrow. But all in all, a very, very good showing from Tia Clayton. Lyle,
you would say that Tia Clayton has much scope for improvement, given how she went about her business in that first round?
Definitely. I think that it's good to hear, like Benty said, that she sees where she can improve. I think that she probably could have executed the race a little bit better throughout the phases, but like you said, in the end, it's about surviving and about advancing. I think she'll maybe not pleased with the time, but she'll be pleased that she advanced, and I think she has much more to give going forward.
Gentlemen, Shasha Lee Forbes last week at this time was in her mind just a reserve, just hanging around the team, giving moral support. Today, she woke up and she had a lane in the opening heat, and then she did the business, Shaquille. She was tasked with qualifying, and qualify she did.
Yeah, qualify she did. I can only imagine what it's like for her. Well, a week ago, she wasn't even supposed to compete in the flat 100 meter, and now she's there to actually compete. So I think that was a bit of a challenge for her, but she did her race. Her race was one of the slower times, but I feel like just advancing and getting there is something that we want to do. And now she's in a decent semi-final. She can get a good time and hopefully advance to the final.
Lyle Shashley worked all the way through to ensure she got one of those automatic places, and there is room for optimism that she can run even better in these semifinals, although the task is tall for her to get through that semifinal.
Most definitely. I think it'll be, like you said, a tough task to get through the semi-final. But she's shown in the past that she can run very, very decent times. And I believe that if she puts it all together at the right time, she should have a decent chance to get into the final. A lot still to be done because the race, as Benty said, it was one of the slower races. But I'm just holding out hope that she'll be able to get into the final and give us 3 Jamaicans in there.
All right, so I know that the obvious answer is Shakira Richardson, but who else apart from the Jamaicans and Shelly and Fraser-Price really looks the business in the women's 100 meters based on what we saw in the first round, gentlemen?
I have the name for you. It is Julian Alfred of St. Lucia. Please, look at her race. Her race was fantastic. She's been on fantastic form. We as Jamaicans, we might have been exposed to her champ. She was the captain for St. Catherine Conquerors. And now she had an excellent NCAA career. And just looking at her professional season, she's been having a good go. I think she stands an exceptional chance to get a medal, and she looked it today.
Lyle?
I mean, he took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not surprised that Bent would have chosen Julian Alfred, given his background. But I mean, I've had my stocks in her for a while, and she's doing fantastically well. If I had to go a different direction, I mean, the woman that ran the fastest time in all of the heats, Marie-Josée Talou, some would say maybe that she went too hard. I think that, listen, going out in the heat, making a statement, running as fast a time that she did, you have to tip your hat to her. But I have to agree with Benty. I mean, Julian Alfred, she's been sensational all season, and I have her tipped to medal at this Olympics.
Yeah, gentlemen, you're not going to dodge the Shakira Richardson point because the American in Heat 1 looked awesome in 1094. Let's not shy away from that. She looks as if she has gears, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Shakari, for me, I've said it on multiple occasions. I think that at the moment she's the most talented sprinter on the planet. And I think it's just about her putting it together, because we've seen in the past that maybe when she gets under a bit of pressure, she might just crumble when she has stiff competition, you know, when she doesn't have a favorable lane draw. But for me, I mean, the talent is obvious. The raw speed is obvious. And she is just a sight to behold. She's a machine. And it's going to be a scary prospect for somebody to try and beat her in the final.
Benty?
What I can say is this is reminiscent of the moments in which she was the star at NCAA. She's been handling the pressure of being the top person, the king of the hill, well this season. And I can say coming out today in this heat, she showed exactly that. She had a beautiful race. You mentioned the mechanics of it. She had a beautiful technical race. And I think really and truly Shakari has been managing in herself well. What we can see is, like we said, her semifinal is really, really good. I want to see how she manages that pressure of having 2 great runners beside her, and then we'll see from there.
Yeah, well, and gentlemen, just before we go to the break, so semi-final 1 is like a mini final. It has, and I'm very happy that they've been drawn right alongside each other. Shakira Richardson, Shelly and Fraser-Price, Julian Alfred, all beside each other. Only 2, as we all know, will qualify automatically. The other one, whoever finishes 3rd, will have to sit on the bubble for a while and go through as one of the fastest losers. I wanted to call it, gentlemen, which of those 3 ladies will take the 2 automatic qualifying spots? Lyle, you first.
Putting me on the spot is tough, but I believe it's going to be Shakari and Shelly. And I know I just spoke about Julian Alfred and how much stocks I've invested in her, but I think when it comes down to crunch time, you cannot bet against Shelly and Fraser-Price. And I think that Shakari, just being on the outside of those 2, she'll be able to come into her own. So for me, I think it'll be those 2, but I think definitely all 3 will run 10-8 times. And I think all 3 get into the final.
Benty?
I think all 3 get into the final, but the person that's going to be on the bubble will be Shakari Richardson. I'm going to Shelly and Fraser-Price and Julian Alfred as the automatic qualifiers.
Wow, and wouldn't that be something? Paris would be talking, and the collective tongue would be wagging, our tongues would be wagging at Shakira Richardson, only finishing 3rd in that semi-final 1. We take the break now and lead story. Back with more after these.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is 645.
All right, guys, the news is in. You are loving MTM on CVM.
And for those who don't know, we are the Mitchells. I'm Wayne.
And I'm Tammy.
And you can come along with us on our journey every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Right here, you can see it happening on CVM TV.
Yeah, MTM man, CVM man.
See it happen, man. CVM man, MTM man, CVM man. See it happen, man. CVM man.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Back with us on Lee's Story, we're talking the Olympics with a new generation of sports journalists, Shaquille Benty and Lyle Anthony Golding. Lyle is based in the UK. Shaquille Benty has very, very strong St. Lucian roots. Benty, are you St. Lucian by birth, or you were born here and lived over there for many years? How does it go?
It goes this way. The people of Jamaica must know I love St. Lucia. I was born there and I was raised here.
Oh, you're a St. Lucian, which is why you're talking about Julian Alfred like you do. All right, I can understand now. I understand. You don't want to get in trouble with immigration, so you're talking up Jamaica as you should. Gentlemen, let's talk about the women's triple jump, because Akeelia Smith snuck through with 14.09, and Shanika Ricketts, though, bounded through with the second biggest jump of all the contestants from the qualifying round. Both women take their place in the final of the women's triple jump. To be fair, triple jumping among the women without Rojas, not that great, because we're seeing middling 14s and so forth. Nobody threatening 15 meters, which is what Rojas would produce in her sleep. She's injured and recuperating. But Rojas not being here is not the fault of these ladies. They are competing for the gold medal. Based on how we see the lineup so far, gentlemen, and the jumps recorded by those who are going through to the final, does Shanika Ricketts especially have strong medal hopes in this women's triple jump final? Benty, I'll go first with you.
So, funny enough, I was speaking about Shanika's chances last night, and I think Shanika has the opportunity to just go out there and produce the talent that we know she has. You mentioned Rojas not being there. I think this now poses the opportunity for her to actually get onto the medal podium. I actually like her chances, and that jump today really and truly increased my viewing of her chances to actually get a medal. The color, I'm not sure, but I think she really stands a good chance if she goes out there and she competes like she knows she can.
Lyle?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think it panned out in the qualifying how I thought it would in terms of with Akeelia and Shanika. I think that Shanika has been so good throughout her career, so experienced. And as he said, as Benty said, she has the talent. And I think if she executes well enough, she should have a really good chance of getting a medal with Rojas not there. And I have very high hopes, because I have her in my medal predictions. So I have very high hopes that she can get a medal here.
Well, gentlemen, I must confess that when we saw the draw for the mixed 4x4, experts said, well, there wasn't enough speed, especially on the women's side, to get us into the final. And given that Jamaica has been horrible in the mixed 4x4, season's best time, one of the slowest times. In fact, of the 16 teams across the two heats in the mixed 4x4 going into the first round in Paris, Jamaica had the second slowest time of all 16 teams. So that tells you how bad it was. But they switched out the two women who were there on paper, Anjanette Knight and Ashley Williams. They replaced them with Stephanie Ann McPherson and Janelle Bromfield. And suddenly the team looked a little bit stronger on paper and ran a national record in that world record heat that the USA won in a world record time, and they got their place in the final comfortably in the end, even though they were on the bubble after that opening heat. Does that team, can that team be strengthened even further for the final, gentlemen? Or if that quartet goes and faces the starter in the final, are they good enough for an outside shot at a medal at best? I'll start with you, Lyle.
I think there's definitely room possibly for strengthening that team. I think that it was a very, very, like you said, it was a rough race. It was a very fast race, obviously, with the USA running our world record. I think that if we keep the same quartet, it will be a very, very long stretch, a real outside shot to medal. I think that Stephanie Ann McPherson, really big shout out to her, because that leg that she ran was spectacular. She got us really into the final. But I think if you keep this quartet, there's an outside chance, but potentially with some persons maybe coming across from the reserves or from the flat 400s, we may have a chance to strengthen the team. But if we do, we have a better chance at medaling.
Benji?
Yeah, we do have an outside chance. What I can say is, this team, I'm glad that they made the switch, because really and truly we needed to get into the final just to kind of actually increase our lore, so to speak, with the 4x4, the mixed 4x4. But I can say there's some things that need to be fixed. Really, really big shout out to Stephanie McPherson, like he mentioned, really good last leg. That I feel like that was the difference at the end of it all. I think, give credit to Janelle Bromfield too. I think really and truly she had to make up a lot on that stagger. But really and truly, there's some things that we can fix in order to try and possibly have a chance at that medal.
Yeah, I can reel off. Well, we know that Jamaica has been blessed with brilliant quarter-milers in the past, and brilliant quarter-milers who've done the business for us in mile relays. Of course, the disappointment of the men mile relay team not qualifying for Paris is still fresh in our mouths. But we've seen some heroic efforts with the baton over the 4x4 overtime. And Stephanie Ann McPherson, it was only a 4th place finish, but it was a warrior anchor leg to get us there. And I'm agreeing with you, gentlemen, that was the run that really nudged us into the kind of territory to produce a national record and a time fast enough to get through to the final. Let me talk about the 800 meters now, because Adele Tracy revealed subsequently that, look, this was her first 800 of the year. She was using it to just build fitness for the 1500 meters, which she is better at and which is her preferred event. Has a chance in the repechage in the morning to make the semifinals of the 800, but I don't think that's her target. She just wants to get some speed into her legs. And then Natoya Gould coming in heat 6, doing the business, winning that heat and looking as if she can go a touch faster, notwithstanding the fact that the Brit Keely Hodgkinson looked supreme in winning her heat. Phoebe Gill, the British teenager, also looked very well. And there are some other athletes in that 800 meters who look, there are 2 Ethiopians who look very, very dangerous, as if they'll be fighting for the medal. So at the top end, there's Hodgkinson, the rest, a clutch of athletes fighting for the other medals, and then Natoya Gould, gentlemen. The question is she in that bunch behind Hodgkinson fighting for a medal based on her showing in that first round heat? I'll go with you first, Lyle.
I think she can definitely get into that group. The race that she ran, like you said, it looked like she maybe had a bit more in the tank. In the past, she's had some really, really good 800 runs in her. It's going to be, like I said, with a lot of these races, it's going to be extremely tough for Natoya to get in there. Like you said, Keely is so far. What an athlete she is. She's so far away from the group. I think it's going to be a stretch. If I had to put my money on it, I would say that Natoya just misses out on a medal, but I think she has a really good shot.
Benty?
Yeah, she's definitely in that middle pack. That heat was exceptional. I think there's some things with the tactics that I would personally want to see adjusted. To touch on Adele a bit, I definitely, like you said, I think she just really wants to get some races under her belt for her pet event. But to touch back on Miss Gould, I think really and truly, she's just near that middle pack, like you would have mentioned. She's just near that middle pack with that added burst of speed that I think she has. I think she gets into that middle pack. As far as medal contention, I'm not sure. I don't think so. But really and truly, I think she can get to that middle pack and put out a good showing.
Well, I've never seen a man win the lotto who didn't have a ticket, and she has a lane in the semi-final, and she'll be hoping to go further than that. So wherever she goes, if she's in that final, she'll have an outside chance at best. Gentlemen, the time is almost up, but we aren't going to leave here and pretend as if the men's 100 meters first round doesn't start on Saturday morning. We aren't going to pretend as if Kishane Thompson isn't the hottest name in Paris right now, and we aren't going to pretend as if Noah Lyles and company aren't worried. We also should acknowledge that Italy are sending back their defending champion from Tokyo, Marcel Jacobs, to defend his title. So we're talking about a 100 meters that on paper has oblique Seville as well, that is mouth-watering, and it's the race that Paris wants to see, the clash between Jamaica and the United States, Seville and Thompson against Lyles and company. Gentlemen, are you salivating at the prospect? Benty, I'll start with you.
I feel like there's a stillness in the air. We're just waiting for that gun to go off for the men's 100 meter. But really and truly, I'm excited to see it. I feel like it's just exactly what I've been waiting for. Kishane Thompson, like you mentioned, is the hottest topic right now. I think the moments between him and Noah that has been reported out of Paris have just further sent us in anticipation, waiting for that moment. Oblique Seville has a really good chance. I have him for my medal, if I'm just being clear right there. Kishane Thompson, I think it's his to lose, really and truly. You mentioned Marcel Jacobs from Italy coming back, the defending Olympic champion, and he mentioned that Kishane Thompson is the man on the hill. He's the one they're looking forward to, not really Noah Lyles. I think that just further sends everybody into that despair, waiting for that moment for the 100 meter to start. So I'm really excited waiting for it.
Lyle, are you taking Lyles?
I mean, not by a long shot. I think it's going to be a fantastic race. For me, it's going to be the race of the championship. We haven't even mentioned names like Lexil Tobogo, Ferdinand Omenyala. There's so much talent in the men's 100 meter at the moment. Like Bente said, for me, it's Kishane's to lose. I think Oblique Seville, the fact that Kishane has been so bright, shining so bright, it's almost dimmed Oblique's light. I mean, his season so far for Oblique Seville has been spectacular. His times, the consistency, the form, everything about it has been great. I think those two, as well as Noah Lyles, will be on that medal podium. But for me, there's no way I'm picking against Kishane Thompson at the moment.
Yeah, well, gentlemen, it's been very good. The athletics program has started well. I count the 4x4, the mixed 4x400 final position that the fact that we have a lane in the final, I count that as a bonus, because at the start of the championships and based on who we were told were going to run for us, I didn't think we have the wheels. So it's bonus ball moment for me here, and whatever they do from here can only add to what they've done already. You've asked them to produce and perform. They've given you a national record. You can't really ask much more, except a new national record perhaps, even if they miss out on a medal. Well, Kishane Thompson has a chance later than Saturday, but tomorrow, Shelley and Fraser Price, Shasha Forbes, and Tia Clayton have the chance to tell Paris that we're up in them town, or what them there, low big breeze blowing through Paris tomorrow, and we hope that the Jamaicans will bring the flavor that only Jamaicans can. Thank you, gentlemen. All the best to you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us.
All right, good. So that's all the time we have for Lead Story this evening. Remember, the Paris Olympics are on, and guess what?